So I often get accused of talking about the same watch brands over and over and over again. The Rolex, Tudor. Rolex, Tudor. Cartier watch, the Tudor, Rolex and Omega. It's not unfounded. So today, I want to talk about a brand that I don't talk about enough, IWC, and why no one seems to talk about them, despite the fact that they make incredible watches. So this year at Watches and Wonders, one of the brands that absolutely blew me away was IWC. I got weirdly lost down the IWC rabbit trail. They released some pretty high complications with the Portuguese or perpetual calendars and the showstopper, the Eternal Calendar. I'm not sure how many people saw it, but they went all out with this launch. They had an entire keynote with Professor Brian Cox, aka Big Brain Astronomer, talking about time. They commissioned Hans Zimmer to compose music for their tribute to the Portugueser. They had this really meaningful release, actually exploring the measurement of time and its relationship to the Earth and the cosmos. They were asking, what is a watch? It's an instrument which measures the fourth dimension, something we don't even really understand, time. We still can't even answer what is time. So what is a calendar? Like their Eternal Calendar? Well, it's the relative positions of the sun, the moon, and the earth, and how they are moving relative to each other. A day is the time it takes for the earth to rotate on its axis, which has absolutely nothing to do with the time it takes for the earth to go around the sun, which is 365 and a quarter days. And what is a month? A month is a lunar measurement. It is the moon's orbit around the earth, and the moon's orbit has nothing to do with the sun's orbit. You have these independent motions of celestial bodies that your perpetual calendar watch is measuring with analog technology all at once to an exceptionally accurate degree. So that's what IWC gave us this year. And what did watch YouTubers like myself end up talking about? The Rolex, Tudor. The Rolex Tudor. I actually think there's probably still more people talking about the Ingenieur price than the Eternal Calendar Portugueser. I hate us sometimes. We do not deserve nice things. We do not deserve the nice things these brands give us. So what is the IWC problem? Why don't we see more IWC watches on wrists? I think they have three big problems. 1, their case dimensions and proportions. 2, the price. And 3, brand identity. IWC is synonymous with Pilot's watches. They are the first brand that comes to mind for me when I think of Pilot's watches. But something that comes with that turf is larger sized watches. For example, a watch that is highlighted as an icon on their website is the Big Pilot's watch. When you click on it, you quickly learn this is a 46.2 millimeter watch with a lug-to-lug of 57 millimeters and a thickness of 15.6 mil. Now I know Pilot's watches are meant to wear on the larger side, but those are some beefy dimensions that will size out 80% of potential buyers. But that's only the Big Pilot. They do have more wearable watches. And it should be said, the size problem is something they've been actively fixing. Some of my favorite watches that they have are the more wearable models like the Spitfire at 39mm, the Pilot's Watch Mark 20 at 40mm. Both have a thickness of 10.8 mil, which is just right with the case proportions. It's not every watch. I just think the problem is that their icons are associated with being big and large, that it doesn't appeal to a lot of potential wearers. It reminds me a bit of Panerai. Panerai's icons are a lot of very large watches. They do make smaller pieces, they do make more wearable pieces, but they have this brand association with being large, and that scares people off sometimes. Now, this is another big reason why I think we don't see more IWC watches on wrists. The price, or at least the price we associate them with in our heads. For example, the Big Pilot retails for £10,900, so a stainless steel Pilot's watch with a date and power reserve indicator is more expensive than the Rolex GMT Master 2. Ooh, I don't know about that one, guys. Or the one we're all familiar with, the return of the Ingenieur, another icon of the brand, a watch that would really bring more people into the brand, but it retails for £10,500 to £12,900. I love the Ingenieur, but I personally can't reconcile that price. It's okay if you love it and you think it's worth it, but for me, no. I don't think having the Genta name association warrants that big leap, for me at least. But because the watches I was the most familiar with were so punchy, I assumed the whole catalog was priced that way, and it's not. Going back to my favorite Pilot's watch, the Pilot's Watch Mark 20, these are £5,000 to £5,700, depending on if you get the bracelet option. That's really, really good. It's still expensive, but that's more in line with what it should be. The Spitfires that I would be the most interested in, simple, tactical, these are £4,600 to £5,100. So I think once again there's a misunderstanding with potential buyers when actually there's a lot of value in the catalog. But it should be said, these are still quite expensive. I think the value's there. I think it's worth about the £5,000 price point, but watch collecting makes you crazy on what's expensive and what's not expensive. I think this might be the biggest piece of the puzzle. IWC and their brand identity. I feel like I'm saying that weird. Identity. Their watches are genuinely excellent. Beautifully done. IWC can do high complication, but they can also do simple tactical pilot's watches. As a watch, they're fantastic, but it almost feels like there's a story missing behind them. Who is IWC? My first thought is, oh, it's that pilot's watch brand. But then do that with Rolex. Who's Rolex? And there's probably a bigger identity that jumps into your mind depending on how much you like them. Who's Patek Philippe? For me, I don't think of a specific watch. I think of a Holy Trinity watchmaker. I think of complications and excellence. Even less well-known brand, Jaeger-LeCoultre. You think the watchmaker's watchmaker. There's a whole story you have for JLC and a whole feeling and vibe around them. And it's not just pilot's watches, which I think I've been talking about a little too much in this video considering how robust their catalog is. The Portofino. What are the distinctives of the Portofino? What makes the Portofino the Portofino? Same with the Portugieser. What are the distinctives of these? And these are both lines that I love. I would never want these collections to disappear, but if someone asked me what are the distinctives of these two lines, I would be pretty short on words. The Portugieser was originally commissioned by two Portuguese businessmen looking for a larger wristwatch that would have the accuracy of a marine chronometer. And the Portofino is their dressier watch, released in the 1980s. They have these models that could be and should be huge icons that people know more about, but we don't know as much about them. They should be shouted about, but I don't know. Also, sidebar, real talk, if they went back to the original Portofino design language, Breguet hands, the old International Watch Company logo, I would go gaga for this. The Aquatimer is a seriously cool, untapped gold mine. And don't get me started on the Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar. This is the epitome of IWC for me. Look at these. Look at their secondary value. It is criminal what these are selling for. Criminal. This is neither here nor there. I am calm. There are times where they get it really right, like Top Gun, absolutely brilliant. Their partnership with Mercedes, AMG Petronas in F1, brilliant. But I feel like there's a story missing from behind IWC, and it isn't for a lack of heritage, but rather from a lack of marketing and sharing that story, and I really, really want to change that. This is a fantastic brand that kind of feels unloved and underappreciated. I don't know. I hope this video doesn't come across as tremendously negative, because I'm not meaning for it to sound like this at all. This is a brand that I really love and I think should be talked about more. I think they smashed it in 2023 with them bringing back the Ingenieur, and then this year with the Portugieser and their Watches and Wonders releases. Stop it. It was perfect. It felt really right and really true to them. It feels like they've been going from strength to strength, but not receiving the love or attention that they deserve. But I'd love to know in those comments down below, what do you think to IWC? I'd actually love to work with them one day, get some of their watches coming through, review some of their watches that I don't think have enough reviews out there. So IWC, if you ever want to send some watches through, I'm here. I'm here. I love you. Do all that YouTube algorithm stuff. And now let's thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope Tier patrons. Hi patrons. I've switched over to my cell phone because something you might not have noticed watching this video. Well, you definitely didn't notice. How would you? I've had, oh, that's not her face. I've had a little kitten here this whole time. She's been sat by my bum. Hi, baby. Also, none of my clothes fit me because I'm really pregnant, so I've been trying to pull normal clothes over. So you guys got to see what's going on behind the camera. I'm a mess. But patrons, I love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting my weird little channel, and I hope you keep enjoying my content. The names on the screen are the Pope Tier patrons. They are the highest rung of patrons out there. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you all tier patrons. And yeah, I hope you keep enjoying my content. Bye, guys.